Mark Owen and welcome to a KVIN special feature, The Weeks That Changed Our World. We're Kirklees Visual Impairment Network, a small charity where blind and partially sighted people come together to support each other in the use of technology designed to make our lives easier. As the country went into lockdown, our normal way of working was no longer an option. So we had to use that one thing that we were so passionate about to be able to find a way of continuing to move forward. And this is our story.
Using Zoom over the last 12 months has been an absolute great addition to the way we communicate. It's a great way of keeping in touch with all our friends and family and big groups of people to do seminars and web chats and just to have a laugh and know you're not alone, just sat in your lounge looking at your phone or your computer or your tablet.
It's almost a year since the way in which KVIN operates was changed forever. We'll look at what happened around that time and how we as an organisation adapted and changed in light of the new circumstances that we found ourselves in. None of this would have been possible had it not been for the service users, volunteers and staff, so you'll hear their voices throughout this journey.
I absolutely loved the Zoom sessions when we started doing them. In lockdown 1, when everything locked down, I was stuck at home with 2 kids, which yes was brilliant. I wasn't on my own, but I really did miss adult conversation. So being able to get onto the Zoom sessions and just have a good chat with the friends that I was missing was absolutely brilliant.
I'd been with the organisation 6 months by this point. KVIN had an established way of working. There were drop-in sessions in Huddersfield, Dewsbury and Batley, and we were just at the point of starting to look at expanding out into rural communities. In early March, it became really apparent that things were changing. COVID-19 was in the news on a daily basis, and the Vision Connect exhibition that we were due to go to in Huddersfield had been cancelled. The key thing was that we needed to think of a way of keeping everyone in touch. We'd started to look at alternatives, but by the 18th of March it became apparent that we'd have to close the face-to-face service. So at that point we had no choice. We had to find a new way of going forward. I think if we'd said to people on the Thursday the 12th in Dewsbury Town Hall that 2 weeks later we'd have all been meeting each other on this new virtual online platform, it would have been interesting to see what the reaction was.
Well, when we went into lockdown last March, I'd heard of Zoom, but I'd never used it. I'd also never used WhatsApp, which most of us use to access Zoom, so it was a quick learn for all of us. But then we were away, and it's been good to be able to chat to one another and pass an hour on 3 of the days of the week, and it's been something to focus on.
As a staff team, we needed to be able to find a way to continue to provide a service. Yes, some of that could be done over the telephone, but we needed to have a way of being able to bring people together as a group. And we wanted to be able to find a way of keeping that familiarity that people had with the organisation. So we did our Zoom calls on the same day at the same time. And indeed, at first, we even called them the Huddersfield, Dewsbury and Batley Zoom calls, because at that point, none of us had realised that it didn't really matter where you were anymore. On the 23rd of March, the country went into lockdown, so that really was it. We had to go forward with this new way of working. But we'd spent time working with people on a one-to-one basis, and we'd got some communication out so that everyone knew what was happening. On the Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we opened the first meeting, and we needn't have worried because there were 15 people there. The following day, there were 17, and we just went from strength to strength. Indeed, when we looked at things in May, it turned out that people had spent an average of 7 hours online with us during the month of April.
If we didn't have Zoom, there would be a lot of very sad, unhappy and lonely people about, so we have got a lot to be grateful for. It's even brought people onto the internet that probably otherwise wouldn't have gone on. But when you get reduced options of being able to reach out to people and to socialise and just connect generally and you know, keep yourself perked up, then Zoom has actually been the answer for many people.
In the early days of Lockdown 1, it was very much about practical support as well as being there for each other. Many of us were struggling with things like gaining access to online deliveries in the days before the supermarkets decided to introduce priority slots, so it was really important that we were able to share up-to-date information.
I found the Zoom chats very useful for information on shopping and stuff, and just keeping in touch with friends, and very helpful for the mental health.
We've all been able to stay in touch and stay up to date with all the new information out there that the PM has been saying to us. Also being able to take part in when we did the petition to get priority slots for VIs. Zoom honestly has been amazing.
Thank you, KVIN, ever so much for introducing the Zoom chats over lockdown. It made life bearable during this period. It was great to see all my friends. I learnt a lot, and I also had a great laugh with everybody too.
As restrictions started to ease, we started to talk about new things like venturing back out onto public transport and what the town centres were going to be like. Those familiar landscapes changed for so many people with sight loss as pavements were widened out, barrier systems were put up, and some of the traffic signals and directions were changed.
We have learned quite a lot on the Zoom, and it's been very beneficial. We're not being able to go out. At least we've had the Zoom sessions. Obviously I've gone out for walks and stuff, but the Zoom sessions have been excellent through lockdown.
I think a real high spot in the summer was our Valley Rally fundraising event, which we transformed from an event where we would have all been walking together for one day into an event that was run virtually. But some of us were still able to get out, and we held small-scale walks on certain days, and it was really nice to be able to take the others along with us as we joined the Zooms from our walks on the Spen Valley Greenway and from the park in Batley. We even tried to get the sound of the ducks on the Park Lake onto the Zoom call, but the ducks didn't really want to make much noise that morning. It was really important, though, that we continue to keep the Zooms fresh, so we started to bring in specialist speakers and form new groups that were a bit more specialist. So we had a group of people doing crochet once a week, and we had specialist groups for people who have iPhones and people who have Android phones. And that was great because more and more new people started to join us. And some of them were from other parts of the country.
I find KVIN Zoom calls very helpful. I have been in since Christmas, not been out, and I've gone on to the Zoom meetings and quizzes and guest speakers and all the other things that they do, and have found it helps me a lot. The people on it are very friendly.
And we were also joined by new volunteers.
It's a brilliant group, and I look forward to many more enjoyable Zoom sessions.
A really strong feature throughout all of this has been the social side. We've had a monthly quiz, and in November and December we ordered afternoon tea. What a different thing that was, having an afternoon tea delivered to us to be able to sit down together and enjoy our afternoon tea together online, even though we couldn't physically be in the same space.
Technology has played a huge part in keeping us all connected during the periods of lockdown over the last 12 months. Zoom especially has played a huge part for me in being able to connect with my local sight loss organisation, that is Kirklees Visual Impairment Network. I've especially enjoyed the quiz nights, getting to talk with everyone and really having a great time.
It was also really important that we found a way of keeping in touch with those people who couldn't use online services, so we used a telephone instead and dialed out to them, so they too were able to meet up on a weekly basis. But whether it's online or on the phone, our story is really one of resilience. Not only did our organisation survive, but it was able to thrive. It's now almost a year since we transformed our services. Restrictions are starting to ease once again, and there's a prospect that at some time in the future we'll be meeting face to face. So what next for our organisation? Here's our Chair of Trustees, David Quarmby.
It has been amazing that despite COVID-19, through the use of Zoom and a phone app, we have been able to extend and widen the range of our services. As a result, we have been able to engage and support more visually impaired people. We will look forward to meeting face to face once again in the near future when safe working practices allow. That our experiences of using Zoom and the phone app means that there will be a role for them for the future, so that we can contact and keep and support as many visually impaired people as possible. For the future, some of you know that we've been working hard on other developments. We hope to report on these to you soon. As for now, that well-known phrase, watch this space.
The Weeks That Changed Our World is a KVIN production, and we'd like to thank those who have taken part. You can find out more about our organisation by visiting our website www.kvin.org.uk or emailing us at info@kvin.org.uk.